Good evening or afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another forecast here. Now, you guys tell I just made a live stream here, so I'm just going to do a very short video here for those people who did not join the stream, were not able to, on just the tropics here, as now 2020 has now officially beat 2005 for being the most active Hurricane Atlantic season here ever. So 2020 is now on top, and it is not over yet, as we still have multiple chances left in the season, even after the season, maybe in December as well, for storms to form. That's including 98L, could very well be Iota, making it the 9th storm in the Greek. So we're very deep in the Greek list here in alphabet. So yeah, we are now ahead of 2005. So 2020 is now the most active Hurricane Atlantic season ever. So we're living history here, but we're going to continue to look at Iota, Theta, and Invest 98L, as they have a very good chance to be very important to talk about, especially Iota in 98L. As 98L very well could be a hurricane, most likely, and even be named in very, very soon by the end of the week, and that'll be Iota. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about, but yeah, let's get in this video. So here's like now at the National Hurricane. Now you can tell that we got Theta right there, we got Theta right here. If that's my pen could work. I guess my pen's not trying to work right now. Okay, well, my pen's not working, but yeah, there you got Theta and Iota right here as well. So Theta is at 70 miles an hour right now. It's probably most likely going to become a hurricane. The National Hurricane Center, for some reason, does not have it becoming a hurricane, though. And that's very odd, as it's 70 miles an hour, and it continues to now. It's actually, I have a pen right now, but it's going to continue to probably most likely strengthen up to the point where it gets to 75 miles an hour. But yeah, there it is right there, Theta, Iota, and 98L, which is now an invest officially today. And it has a 70% chance for formation. But Theta won't cause any harm or landfall as a tropical system. It'll most likely be extratropical by the time it actually arrives near Europe. But it could be very briefly a hurricane, but we will see it at 70 miles an hour, 989 millibars, and moving east-northeast at 14 miles an hour. 8, on the other hand, 60 miles an hour. So it's actually expected to continue to strengthen up to the point of 70 miles an hour by tomorrow afternoon. And then by the time after tomorrow, it'll gradually weaken as it goes into the cooler waters. We'll gradually look at that more in the video. But 60 miles an hour, 992 millibars, and 7 miles an hour going northward. And obviously now a very interesting topic here is Invest 98L. It's a 70% chance now for the next 5 days and 10% chance for the next 48 hours. And has a very good chance to potentially form in the next several days here. And a tropical depression is likely to form later this week. Or this weekend. So, I mean, there's definitely a chance this could very well be a big threat for the Western Caribbean, all the way from Central America up to Florida. Yeah, Florida actually had the chance and concern for this storm here. But let's move into Iota first. So, Iota is actually recently blowing up here throughout the day with a ton of center convection here. That low center convection is really, really blowing up there. I mean, really blowing up. That Durrell maximum, the center convection is just absolutely blowing up. And that's because it is moving very, very slowly, and it has been moving extremely slowly over those very warm waters over northwestern Cuba. Waters are around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius there in that general area, and it's been there for almost all day today. So it's been really close to stalling there, but it's starting to speed up now a little bit. But that's exactly why it's blowing up here, and that's exactly why it's expected to possibly get to 70 miles an hour before weakening. But that's exactly why we do have tropical storm warnings now issued for Dry Tortuga, and that's exactly why we do have tropical storm watches still in effect for western Cuba, because this storm's continue to expand its wind field and its strength here. So it is going to continue to blow up for the next 24 hours. But I mean, really got a ton of convection there. I mean, it's really, really blowing up a lot today compared to today, and that's very showing you how one little spot of warm waters can do a lot to a storm here. So it looks a lot more tropical compared to yesterday. We are seeing the banding now getting back into the Keys. So it's going back. We're actually going backwards now. So now the Keys are getting in the areas of the outer bands once again. So they're not done just yet. And that's exactly why storm surge is still expected to be in effect for the next few days for areas of the Keys in southern Florida. But you do see tropical storm watches are issued for western Cuba still, including Havana, and tropical storm watches are still in effect now and have been actually extended for western Florida there, including St. Petersburg and Tampa, and all the way up into the Big Bend area. I wouldn't doubt they start putting tropical storm watches very soon for areas all the way up as far west as Apalachicola, and as far inland as areas maybe Tallahassee, obviously Panama City as well. all up to southwestern Georgia. But the wind field's very, very small right now, but it's expected to extend in the next 24 hours. Probably not necessarily double its size, but maybe get to the point where it's really close to doubling its size. And that's exactly why tropical storm warnings have been issued for Florida, and that's for Dry Tortuga, which is in the far western island there off the Keys there. Dry Tortuga has a tropical storm warning because they can very well get inside the edge of that wind field. As it's, like I did say, it's extending there. They are and now getting the outer band of convection there, so expect things to go backwards from here. So it's going to go from getting really strong winds last night to clearing up now to now going back to getting some strong winds again. But it's going to get to its peak by tomorrow afternoon. Go kind of straight northward, heading for areas like the Big Bend area, and then turning northwest last minute and making landfall near Apalachicola or Panama City as a 48-mile-an-hour tropical storm. So it's going to be very, very, at its minimum, really, before landfall. So it's not going to be a hurricane for landfall. It's not even going to be a strong tropical storm. It's going to be very minimal. It actually has a chance to maybe a borderline depression for landfall there. So it's going to be very, very weak. So the main threat will probably just most likely be the rain there, but only expected to get to 70 miles an hour and then weaken from there. So going to be weakening a good bit from its peak to landfall. As well, watching 98L, the low pressure is widening the open, but the eastern half, that low pressure is actually getting a ton of convection there, but it's starting to kind of die down a little bit and condense. And that's because it's kind of going to its zero minimum, but it's really starting to condense that convection there. But really interesting here, we have a lot of scattered cloud cover right here for 98. It's very scattered and all that, but really interesting here. A good amount of convection there, but it's starting to gradually go down. Probably going to go to its zero minimum now, but I do expect over the next few days, in the weekdays, it's going to start kind of really kind of blowing up in convection and start expanding, and it could very well be a tropical depression to maybe even weak tropical storm by the end of the week, making it the third named storm for November, which is one away from the record. The record is 4, so we're getting very close here. And tracks here, it's really scattered. It can go anywhere from Central America to possibly even Florida and the Bahamas. I personally think that the Central America has a very good chance to get hit by this system, but I personally think it'll do this track. I just see this happening, or I see one of these happening, in my opinion. So that's exactly why I think Florida has a chance to get another landfall here, but obviously it's very, very far out, so we don't really have an exact cone, obviously. So this is anywhere. This could be the cone anywhere. So it's really scattered, obviously, since there's not a lot of information here. It just became an invest. But what we do know so far is that 3 out of the 4 models that are covering this system right now, 3 out of the 4 have it getting into a tropical storm, and 2 out of the 4 have it getting into a hurricane, and 1 out of 4 getting into a category 2, 1 out of 4 getting into a category, or 2 out of 4 getting into a category 1. Obviously, these models that the first models that you get when it becomes an invest aren't the most accurate, and they all always show this. But again, they've been accurate and inaccurate throughout the year here. But obviously, you can get what you get right now until this becomes a tropical depression. We don't get the National Hurricane Center or what they expect here, so it's kind of you're on your own until the National Hurricane Center gives you a little bit of idea here. But I forgot to show this when I was talking about Eta, but this is actually tracks here for Eta. It's very scattered as well, so anywhere from St. Petersburg to Destin can get a landfall. It's also a very big difference here, because if it goes towards Tampa, it's going to go back out in the Atlantic, but if it goes toward Destin, it'll go into cooler waters and really weaken a lot more than if it was going towards St. Petersburg. But it's most likely to make landfall in the Big Bend area between the areas right here, just south of Gainesville, or southwest of Gainesville, or south of Tallahassee to Panama City or Apalachicola, but it's going to head in that general area right there near the Chattahoochee River. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be very minimal as landfall, not going to be too major, nothing really significant whatsoever. I wouldn't really prepare for power outages or anything. But yeah, it's going to probably most likely move pretty far inland to southeast, including Georgia and South Carolina. So we could see some gusty winds there to maybe 20 miles an hour. And also, I forgot to show this for Theta, but there it is, expected to become a tropical storm and stay the tropical storm and then become subtropical and then turn northward around early this afternoon, or sorry, not early this afternoon, early this weekend. So it's going to avoid areas like Europe. But if it does make landfall for areas like northern France or the UK, it'll probably be extra tropical and only going to bring in 10 to 15 miles an hour and some slight rainfall. So it's not going to be nothing major at all. But like I said, the National Hurricane does not predict it getting into a hurricane, which I found very, very odd. It tracks for this as well. It's going to go west-northwest for the next few days, and by the time it gets to the early Saturday time period, it's going to start heading northward, or a sharp northeastern turn. So that's how it's going to avoid those areas, and that's why it's going to help avoid those areas in Portugal and Spain and the UK. But honestly, I really have some concerns for 98L because it's all the way over here in Puerto Rico, and it has all of these waters to blow up here. And obviously, Delta blew up with this amount of water, and obviously, Eta just blew with this amount of water, and this has almost 4 times as much as that. So, I mean, I think there's a very good chance that Iota could very well blow up, and the reason why I think it could avoid Central America is because if it blows up really fast, it's going to make that northern turn sooner, so it could very well head for Florida, something like that. But obviously, there's still a very good chance it could hit Central America, and a lot of models and National Hurricane have been very consistent with showing that. So, it'll be very unfortunate if it makes landfall like GFS shows at a 971 millibar hurricane. But yeah, let's go and take a look at the models now. So here's looking now at the GFS 18Z here, so fully reloaded here. As you can tell, they show Eta getting to 991 millibars and then making landfall for the Big Bend area there. But let's check out what they show the 18Z for possibly Iota. They actually get making landfall for almost exactly where Eta made landfall, and at a 975 millibar hurricane, and then they had it going out into the Pacific, and then they have another system forming in Central America in the Western Caribbean. Like I did say in my live stream in this video, the Western Caribbean will not be out of the picture this month. It's still going to be in the picture for December because Western Caribbean is going to continue to have these really warm waters, and it's going to be the hot spot for the rest of the month and the hot spot for December as well. So when you rarely see December storms, which really has rarely happened at all, they mostly happen in the Western Caribbean. I do expect this pattern to continue as we're going to be seeing really warm waters. That's going to help support more and more systems whether they come this way or this way. So I do think that the Western Caribbean, whether it's Cuba or Central America, this general region, could very well see a lot of action in the next few months here. And like I said, few months. So we can very well see winter systems. I mean, that's not really something you see much, but obviously 2020 has been nothing but a weird hurricane season, very odd, breaking record amount of storms in a month, obviously breaking 2005 records, so it's just going to be really crazy what we're seeing here. But the GFS is showing a 975 to 982 millibar hurricane, which is very unfortunate if that happens since they just got hit by a major system. Let's check out the icon here. This is the 18Z, and this could actually load for me. The icon gets it to gets Eta only to 1,000 millibars, where it's supposed to be at its peak. So Icon has it very, very weak, but Icon has a 999 millibar system in the next 120 hours heading for areas like Nicaragua. Like I just say, global models and National Hurricane are being consistent with Central America. I think this is probably the most likelihood, in my opinion, or I kind of maybe like this. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Obviously, that's very different to the National Hurricane and global model, so we will see it's very far out, so we'll get a better look. But now Gem and CMC 18Z are just loading right now, so we can't look at those, but we can check a look at the European 12Z. I do say they also show in Central America, so I mean, it doesn't look too good for my prediction, but that's just my prediction. Obviously, that will probably change. It's a prediction, it's preliminary, it's not going to be permanent. But yeah, hope you got into the video, and bye, guys.